The stopped clock. Lily heard the clock stop at exactly 3:17. The strange thing was that she was asleep when it happened. She sat up suddenly in bed, her heart beating fast. The room was dark except for a pale line of moonlight across the floor. Everything was quiet, too quiet. Then she noticed it. The old grandfather clock in the corner of her apartment had stopped ticking. Tick, tick, tick. For 3 years, the clock had never stopped. Day and night, through storms and power cuts, it had always kept moving. Now, the hands stood perfectly still. 3:17. Lily climbed out of bed and walked across the room. The clock had belonged to her grandmother. It was taller than Lily and made of dark wood. Small carved flowers ran along its sides. Most people thought it was ordinary. Lily was not so sure. As she touched the glass door, a cold feeling ran through her hand. Then she heard something. A whisper. "Lily!" She jumped back. The room was empty. The whisper was gone. For a long moment she stared at the clock. Finally, she wound it with the old brass key. The ticking returned. Tick, tick, tick. Relieved, Lily returned to bed. But before she fell asleep, she noticed one more thing. The clock was now showing 3:18. Only 1 minute had passed. Yet her phone said it was 4:02. The next morning, Lily tried to forget about it. She worked at a small bookshop near the center of town. Most days were quiet. She spent her time arranging books, helping customers, and drinking too much tea. But all day she kept thinking about the stopped clock. By evening, curiosity won. After closing the shop, she visited her grandmother's old house. The house had been empty for years. Dust covered the windows. Wild flowers grew in the garden. Lily unlocked the front door and stepped inside. The familiar smell of old wood greeted her. Everything looked smaller than she remembered. She walked through the silent rooms until she reached her grandmother's study. There, among stacks of notebooks, she found a small leather journal. Inside, most pages contained ordinary notes. Shopping lists, weather observations, birthday reminders. Then Lily found an entry written in shaky handwriting. The clock stopped again today. Lily froze. She kept reading. 3:17, the same time as before. Her stomach tightened. The next lines were even stranger. When the clock stops, time opens. Listen carefully. The lost moments try to return. Lily stared at the page. Lost moments? What did that mean? She searched through the journal for an explanation, but there was none. Only one final sentence. If it stops for Lily, she must follow the signs. That night, Lily sat beside the grandfather clock. She placed a notebook on her lap. Outside, rain tapped softly against the windows. The apartment felt unusually still. Hours passed. Nothing happened. At midnight, she laughed at herself. Maybe her grandmother had simply enjoyed writing mysterious things. Maybe she was imagining connections where none existed. Lily stood up. At that exact moment, the clock stopped. 3:17. Again, even though it had been showing midnight only a second before. A chill spread through the room. The air felt heavier. Then something appeared. A single golden feather drifted from nowhere. It floated slowly through the room and landed near the door. Lily stared at it. The feather looked real. She picked it up. Warmth spread through her fingers. Then she heard the whisper again. "Follow." The voice sounded gentle, familiar, almost like her grandmother. The feather slipped from her hand. To Lily's amazement, it began sliding across the floor. Not blowing, not rolling, sliding, as if an invisible person was pulling it. Lily followed it into the hallway. The feather stopped beside a small closet. She opened the door. Inside sat an old cardboard box she had never noticed before. The box contained photographs, hundreds of them. Many showed Lily as a child. Some showed her grandmother. Others showed strangers. Then Lily found a photograph that made her stop breathing for a second. It showed a little girl standing beside a fountain. The girl looked exactly like Lily, but Lily had never been there. She turned the photo over. On the back were written 3 words: "Summer that vanished." The next day, Lily carried the photograph everywhere. The fountain looked familiar somehow, yet she could not remember visiting it. During lunch, she showed it to her coworker Emma. "Maybe you forgot," Emma suggested. "No," Lily said. "I remember almost everything from childhood." Emma smiled. "Nobody remembers everything." The word stayed with Lily. Nobody remembers everything. That evening she searched through old family albums. Eventually she found another picture of the same fountain. This one included her grandmother. The date was written clearly: July 12th, 20 years earlier. Lily frowned. According to family records, she had been sick at home that entire week. So, how could she be in the photograph? The mystery deepened. 3 nights later, the clock stopped again. 3:17. This time a silver marble appeared beneath it. The marble glowed faintly. Lily picked it up. Instantly, a memory flashed through her mind. She was 6 years old, running through a sunny park, laughing, holding the silver marble. Then the vision vanished. Lily staggered backward. The memory felt real, yet she had never remembered it before. Could this be one of the lost moments mentioned in the journal? The next morning she called her mother. "Did I ever have a silver marble?" she asked. There was silence. Then her mother laughed softly. "You love that marble." "I did." "You carried it everywhere for months." Lily sat down slowly. "Why don't I remember it?" Her mother hesitated. "I'm not sure." Another pause. "Actually, there are many things from that summer you never seem to remember." As the weeks passed, more objects appeared whenever the clock stopped. A blue ribbon, a tiny brass bell, a paper boat. Each object brought back another forgotten memory. The memories were happy, simple, beautiful. A picnic by a river, a walk beneath lanterns, a visit to the mysterious fountain. Lily began collecting the objects on a shelf. Slowly, a picture formed. All the memories came from the same summer. The summer that vanished. The summer she had somehow forgotten. One evening, she spread the objects across her table. There were 12 in total. 12 objects. 12 memories. Yet something felt incomplete. One memory was still missing. The most important one. She could feel it, like a word resting at the tip of her tongue. Then came the night the clock stopped for the final time. 3:17. The room filled with golden light. Lily stood up immediately. The clock door swung open by itself. Inside lay a small key, not the brass winding key, a different one, old and silver. Lily picked it up. The moment she touched it, the apartment disappeared. Or seemed to. Suddenly, she stood beside the fountain from the photographs. Sunlight sparkled on the water. Birds sang in nearby trees. The air smelled of summer grass. And sitting on a bench was her grandmother. Young. Healthy. Smiling. Lily's eyes widened. Grandma? Her grandmother looked up. I was wondering how long it would take. Lily could hardly speak. This can't be real. Her grandmother smiled. Real is a complicated word. They sat together beside the fountain. For a while neither spoke. Then Lily asked the question that had haunted her for weeks. What happened to that summer? Her grandmother looked toward the water. When you were 6, you became lost here. Lily felt a shiver. I don't remember. I know. What happened? You wandered away and found something unusual. What? A place where forgotten moments gather. Lily blinked. A place. Her grandmother nodded. Sometimes moments disappear. Small joys, tiny memories, laughter, wonder. They drift away from people over the years. The fountain water shimmered. You spent one afternoon there. Lily listened carefully. When you returned, the place took the memories with it to protect itself. So I forgot everything, almost everything. Lily looked down. The answer felt strangely right, like a missing puzzle piece sliding into place. But why is the clock returning them now? Her grandmother smiled gently. Because you need them. Need them? You've been so busy growing up that you've forgotten how much beauty exists in ordinary days. Lily thought about her recent years. Work. Bills. Schedules. Deadlines. Always rushing. Always planning. Perhaps her grandmother was right. The older woman stood. The clock was never measuring time. What was it measuring? Her grandmother touched Lily's shoulder. Wonder. The fountain, the sunlight, and her grandmother slowly faded. Lily opened her eyes. She was back in her apartment. The grandfather clock stood quietly in the corner. Its hands still pointed to 3:17. Then, for the last time, they moved. Tick, tick, tick. The clock resumed its journey. And Lily suddenly remembered everything. The vanished summer, the fountain, the laughter, the hidden place full of forgotten moments. Most importantly, she remembered how it felt to notice small wonders. The shape of clouds, the sound of rain, the smell of old books, the warmth of sunlight on a window. Tears filled her eyes, though she was smiling. The next morning, she walked to work more slowly than usual. The world looked different, not because it had changed, because she had. A child waved at her from a passing bicycle. Lily waved back. A bird landed on a fence nearby. She stopped to watch it. For the first time in years, she was not in a hurry. That evening she returned home and looked at the grandfather clock. It ticked steadily, ordinarily, quietly. No golden feathers appeared. No magical objects. No whispers filled the room. Its work was finished. Yet sometimes late at night, Lily would notice the hands resting briefly near 3:17. Only for a second, almost as if the clock were smiling. And whenever that happened, she would pause and look around. Because somewhere in the ordinary world, another lost moment might be waiting to be found.